Hello students, I'm making a recording in case you missed it in class, how to enter your lab data in Google Sheets to make a table so that Google Sheets will create a graph for you. Please pay attention. Okay, this is a spreadsheet. If you've never used the spreadsheet before, this will be an excellent introduction for you. You can click on any cell. When you click on the cell, it is highlighted, it is selected. So I'm going to select a cell on the top left, but you could go anywhere you want. You can write anything you want in any cell. For our experiment with the spaghetti and marbles, the independent variable was strands of spaghetti. And you remember that independent variable always goes on the left column. So I typed it in, and then I'm going to click on another cell. The dependent variable in this experiment was the number of marbles to break the spaghetti. Every time you have a table of data, you need titles or column headings that tell what it is and what the units are. But we are counting, so the units are just number. It's counting. You can click right here and drag back and forth to adjust your column width if you want to. Okay, now what was the values you used for your independent variable? In other words, how many strands of spaghetti did you use for each trial? In my experiment, I started with 1 strand of spaghetti, then 3, then I increased to 6, and finally, I tested 10 strands of spaghetti. I only got 4 data points. When I had 1 strand of spaghetti, it took 13 marbles to break it. When I had 3 strands of spaghetti, it took 40 marbles to break it. When I had 6 strands of spaghetti, it took 86 marbles to break it. Finally, when I tested 10 strands of spaghetti, it took 130 marbles to break it. Enter your data into your table. Don't copy my numbers, use your data. If you want to, or I should say actually you should write a title for this data table. You can title it something casual if you want to. It doesn't have to have the scientific title that I taught you to use for a graph. So here's my title. How many marbles to break spaghetti? Okay, that's all you need to enter. Now we're going to make a graph just by highlighting and clicking. To use spreadsheets, you can click on a cell to highlight them, or you can click and drag to highlight multiple cells. So I want you to highlight the column headings, not the title, but the column headings and the data. Let me show that again. Click and drag to highlight the column headings and your data. Then go to the top where it says Insert. Click on the Insert tab and go down to Chart. Select Chart. And Google Sheets will produce a chart for you. Remember that your chart must have the independent variable on the x-axis, and it must have the dependent variable on the y-axis. And you can see that Google Sheets is very smart, and followed that scientific format that I taught you in class. Strands of spaghetti, the independent variable is in the left column. So Google Sheets knows that's your independent variable and puts it on the bottom, on the x-axis. Same thing with number of marbles. Since it's in the right-hand data column, Google Sheets knows that is your dependent variable. Okay, click on your graph, and there was a chart over there, some options, but they disappeared because I clicked off. Go to these three dots and go to Edit Chart, unless you kept it open. Okay, good. Now, first it says Chart Type. Sometimes it gives you a line chart by default. It just automatically gives you a line chart. If so, then you can change to whatever you want. I want you to find scatter plot. Go down and click on scatter chart, and that's what I already have. Okay, now I'm going to move that over my table because you know what I'm doing. Let me show you this menu a little more. You need to add a trend line on your graph. The trend line shows the best fit line for your data. You calculated this in algebra class, but now you can use a computer. Go to the chart editor window, click on Customize. Under Customize, go to Series. Series means the data series, and ours is the blue dots right here. We only have one series on our graph, but you could have had many series, like if you had multiple trials. Okay, under Series, go down to Trend Line. Click on Trend Line, and it draws the best fit line on your graph. If your data followed a linear equation, if it had a linear relationship, this trend line represents the best fit line. And in our case, it looks pretty good. I need to know the equation for the line. So go down here to Label. You can label that trend line with no label, a custom label, or the equation for the trend line. Click on Use Equation, and boom, it puts it right up here at the top. There's the equation for the best fit line. You remember equations like this from algebra class, like y equals mx plus b. But we don't see y equals anymore because it's not y, it's number of marbles on the y-axis. The dependent variable is the number of marbles. So that's number of marbles equals 13.1 times x plus 1.6. There's something I want you to know. On that best fit line where you see the asterisk, 13.1 asterisk x, that star, that means multiplication in computer language. So that's 13.1 times x. Okay, what is the x? Well, that is your independent variable. So if you have 2 strands of spaghetti, then x equals 2. If you have 6 strands of spaghetti, then x equals 6. You can use this trend line to answer questions in your lab, like if you had 25 strands of spaghetti, how many marbles would it take to break the bridge? You can also use this trend line to answer questions like, if you want to support 200 marbles, how many strands of spaghetti do you need? In that case, the dependent variable, number of marbles, is equal to 200, and you'll need to solve for x, how many strands of spaghetti. Make sure that you write this equation on your graph before you turn in your lab, and learn the steps to make a data table and a graph in Google Sheets, because you'll be doing this all year long in physics, and next year in chemistry in all of your university science classes as well as all of your engineering classes. Many other classes use Google Sheets or another kind of spreadsheet as well, so you'll need to know how to make tables and graphs in spreadsheets. See you later.